come here and I'll simply write a small class, ekdam small class. I have a class called myCalc. This myCalc has a pretty simple method, public void divide. Just like Vinod was explaining, like if any number is divided by zero, कोई तो बता रहा था. So I have taken the same example. Okay. Now the way I am forming this method or writing this method is a slight tricky. So here, and I'm trying to ask the end user ki bhai number de do, and then I'll try to do the division part. Okay. So here I'll say system dot out dot print, because intention is to explain anything and everything about exceptions using one single example. That's why I'm taking this model. Enter the first number, and I need to take it. Here I'll say int fno is equals to integer dot percent of system dot console dot read line, and then this is my second number. Even SNO, and here I'll say division is number by second. Now I'm just not stopping here. If you have to understand, I'm trying to write one more line of code here. System dot out dot println end of division method going back to caller class main. That's what I have printed. From here, my controller is going back. So uh, returning controller back to the caller class main method. Make sense? Yes or no? Basically, the call starts from main. It comes here, and then once it is done, it will go back. Well, that's what my intention is. Okay, to tell the end user ki dekho ye ho gaya, and thank you for doing whatever it is. So I have a class called exception test, and then I have my public static void main string args. Here I'm trying to create my calc instance. Calc is equals to new my calc, and then I'm trying to call that fellow. So that divide method, calc dot divide, earlier call, and then here I'm trying to print one more thing, system dot out dot print ln. मुझे print करना है कि something like this. Thank you for calling calculator. नहीं तो my calc divide blah 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 कुछ भी. Okay. Oh, why I'm writing so much of unnecessary things? I want you to understand something. Control is, well, I have my calc, and it's a Java file, and I'll save it over here. Feb1 save. Pretty fine. So I'll come to that one, desktop, Feb, and CMD. Java C, mycalc.java. No errors. क्या बोल रही है? Main method not found in mycalc. What is that I'm trying to do? Java exception test. Enter the first number. Now look at the way I'm running it. Let's say first number is 10, second number is 2. Division is 5. End of the division method, returning the controller back to the caller class, and that's the end of the method. So it clearly shows that, yeah, say, it clearly shows that my class is perfect. Yes or no?
Sir.
Right? There is no syntax error, there is no runtime error, no nothing. Okay, so meaning of that is my class is perfect, right? Well, still, this simple piece of code which I have written, which I neither have any compile time error nor have any runtime error, is still capable of generating errors at runtime. Okay, so what is that? We will see. CLS, first of all, I'll try to call this and run this Java exception test 10 to ये तो हो गया. फिर से मैं run कर रहा हूँ exception test 10 and then second number I'll give hash. Well, see, the problem is the coding is correct. The code have no problem, but the end user is giving a wrong input, which I haven't handled while the time of writing the code. I expect end user is using this calculator for a proper purpose and then he should give me a proper input. But whereas I am getting an improper input and lead to an error. But somehow the end user is a techie guy. Number format exception for the input string hash. उसको समझ में आया कि अच्छा I shouldn't give you this hash symbol. Let me give you a number. ये मेरा नंबर ही है. Zero is a number. I try to give a zero, and it leads to arithmetic exception. That means, though I have written my code properly, the misuse of end users may lead to runtime errors. But do I get any compile time warning or anything saying that Dekho Rambhai, your code is capable of generating two errors? Did I get so? Look at my compilation statement. It
No.
kept quiet. I just compiled and then I got my command prompt black. That means the compiler kept quiet, though there is a chance that this piece of code can generate two random errors. It didn't say anything. Why so? That is because the compiler always expects the end user or the caller to supply proper inputs. Who knows what is the input you are giving at runtime? How Java know? Java doesn't know, right? So it cannot predict. So errors that Java cannot predict, but they come at runtime, are called unchecked exceptions. Am I clear? I repeat this. Errors that the Java compiler cannot predict that may come, but they will come because of the wrong input or wrong action that happens at runtime are called as runtime exceptions. I repeat, runtime exceptions are unchecked exceptions. What are these exceptions of type? For example, you are trying to read a class from a outside source and you are trying to convert it to a wrong type. Then you will lead to a class cast exception that comes at runtime. Similarly, there is a method you are trying to call a class and then trying to call its method, which expects a value where you are supplying a wrong value. Then it leads to invalid argument exception, something like that. So all these kind of exceptions are called as runtime exception. Let's say there is an array is expected to be written by some external source. You are trying to call array dot length. It's basically there are no elements assumed, then array length will be 0, and you are trying to print elements from that array which is null or don't have anything. You will lead to array index out of bound exception. So there is a string value or some object you are trying to read, and the object did not been received by you. It been received as a null value. Okay, and that null value that is being received, you are trying to call a function on that string or an object, which actually leads to null pointer exception. So all these kind of exceptions which occur at runtime because of the invalid inputs are not predicted not predicted by your compiler. Compiler basically it checks whether there is a syntactical error there or not. Okay, these are the kind of exceptions that are called as unchecked exceptions. Am I clear? Am I clear? So we write try catch blocks and then handle code in order to control these kind of exceptions. So here, what is that we do in a case here? We will provide try catch and then we will print human understandable message instead of printing this kind of error messages, which are not acceptable by the end users. Hope clear on this point?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा अभी
Yes,
सुनो,
yes.
अभी दूसरा पॉइंट सुनो. There are APIs provided by Java. I repeat, sentence, you have to listen very carefully. I repeat this, you have to listen very carefully. There are many APIs supplied by Java. And these APIs, when they were writing, I repeat, when they were writing, Java couldn't predict that a runtime may lead to an exception or not. Then it gives the probability by specifying, this method may throw an exception at runtime by declaring throws. Now, assume what I'm trying to convey. If you are trying to call, there is a note I wanted to mention over here. Okay. If you try to call a method that declares that the method that it throws some exception, compiler will try to warn you to handle it. This is the funda of Java. Basically, it is something like this. You know, you are coming into your home and your mom warns you कि अरे देख के चलना वो पूरा wet है गिर जाएगा तू. It's not that you will definitely fall. It is that there is a probability that you may fall. Correct or not? You understand? Okay. Such a kind of warnings are to be considered. So the compiler will try to take it. And what type of warnings compiler will mandatory and what type of statements compiler will not mandatory. We will see that one. So to explain that, I'll take a small example. We Dekho, we have our Pawan Bhai in the class. Hi, Pawan.
Hi, sir.
Hi. And I also have Vivek in my class. Hi, Vivek. Vivek, कुछ तो हाय बोलो यार. अच्छा ठीक है. So Vivek and Pawan both are friends. Okay. Let me explain a small story. Vivek and Pawan both are close friends. जान जिगरी दोस्त है. So Pawan had a girlfriend and he wanted to take her to a movie. Pawan approached Vivek and then बोला कि Vivek मेरे भाई मेरी जान, अरे I need to take my girlfriend to movie. Can you please give me your bike? तो Vivek is what the hell? ये साला गर्लफ्रेंड के साथ एंजॉय करेगा and I'll give the bike. How? And then the internal evil of Vivek has woke up and then he has given the bike anyway. Ultimately, when Pawan is crossing the gate, विवेक पीछे से बुलाते पवन मेरे भाई मेरी जान अरे सुन वो जो बाइक है ना उसका इंश्योरेंस नहीं है आरसीपी नहीं है मेरे पास अभी देखो पेट्रोल भी खत्म होने वाला है ठीक है ना देख लेना एंजॉय सो व्हाट इज दिस एंजॉय हाँ व्हाट इज दिस एंजॉय सो विवेक इज ट्राइंग टू से दैट hey Pawan you are asking me a resource called bike and if I have to give you the bike I'll give you but beware this resource which you are asking is capable of generating 2 exceptions at runtime. Throws no petrol exception, no RC exception, no insurance exception. Abhi batao, out of these 3 exceptions, which are mandatory for Pawan to handle? Even if RC is not there, even if insurance is not there, can he manage the situation? Yes or no? Can he manage?
No, sir.
Yes,
अरे
yes,
क्यों नहीं बाइक चलेगा कि नहीं चलेगा
yes, sir,
बाइक
चलेगा।
चलेगा कि नहीं चलेगा हाँ थिएटर ना सही काली में इधर उधर घूमेगा लड़की को पकड़ के राइट और रॉन्ग राइट
Yes.
अगर पेट्रोल एक्सेप्शन देखो अगर पेट्रोल चेक नहीं किया तो
नहीं चलेगा सर.
नहीं चलेगा. So tell me, out of these three exceptions that I am declaring, that this method you are calling, okay, bike throws these three exceptions, which one must be checked before you start, which one can be checked at runtime?
No petrol except.
No
Sir,
petrol.
no petrol exception
Petrol
before.
exception.
So this is a checked exception. So before you start, you have to check. This petrol is an internal part of the system of the bike, without which you cannot run it. So that is being taken, I repeat, that is being taken as a checked exception. Am I clear? So here, this is how we can understand all exceptions that are declared by Java internal API as throws are checked. Simple. Get it? Similarly, there is another thing. All exceptions that are direct subclasses of exception class are checked. This is the second point. And remaining unchecked or runtime exceptions. Will you remember these points?
Yes,
These
sir.
3 points will you remember? ठीक है, विल प्रूव इट. वी एक छोटा सा यही एग्जांपल को स्लाइटली मॉडिफाई करेंगे, देन वी विल अंडरस्टैंड दिस पॉइंट. शैल वी? अब देखो, now that I have my class, I'll go to a slight older way. The way I am using system.console.use readline, this is added from Java 1.6. Prior to Java 1.6, people used to depend on scanner or buffer reader. So I am trying to take that buffer reader help. Import java.io.star, and I am declaring a buffer reader. Buffered reader br is equals to new buffer reader of, and this buffer reader is a buffer of reading so many characters at a time. So he basically requires another stream to supply characters to him, and he has a buffer of 7.33 MB at a time. That means his capacity to read so many number of characters at a time is up to 7.33 MB. So he requires a new input stream reader who should take input and supply. Where is he taking from? System.in. That's how this fellow will be framed. Now this BR has the same method as this readline. So instead of using system.console.readline, I would simply say this br.readline. By saying this br.readline, I am trying to read a line of characters up to the capacity of 7.33 MB from this buffer reader. Okay, I would expect an enter key to the end of the stream and then read it. That's how it behaves. Control S. That's it, nothing more than that. The moment when I do like this, basically, now this br.readline is declared in its class that this readline method throws exception, which is IO. Okay, so here this Java API is declared to be thrown with IO exception. So the one what you are trying to call the API, which is given by Java itself, is developed in such a way that it throws IO exception. So dekhte bhai, why do I believe? Java.io.buffered reader. Well, look at this. This is the declaration. Public return type is string readline throws IO exception. That means this method itself is declared by Java that देखो भैया कोई भी ये method call करता है, beware, you may get an IO exception. So Java himself have said, which is an internal part of Java, they said, ki dekho, this throws away exception. Shall we take it or not? You understand? Just like petrol is an inbuilt system of the bike, and he says ki no petrol exception. Are we checking it or not? Similarly, here. Now I'll come back and I'll try to control S. I'll go ahead and then try to compile the program. The moment when I try to compile the program, I am forced to handle the exception, IO exception at both of these lines for SNO as well as FNO. It says key unreported exception, IO exception must be caught or declared to be thrown. Why? Dekho, this is the reason. Because you are trying to call an API provided by Java, which is declared to be thrown an exception. And this IO exception is also a direct subclass of exception class. Let me check this. Now java.lang.object, which has a subclass of throwable. Throwable has exception, exceptions IO exception. So is this a direct subclass of exception? Yes or no? Yes, it is. So this is a checked exception. Similarly, this is declared to be thrown by one of the built-in API of Java. That is also one of the reasons. That's why this is called as checked. Am I clear on this point? And अगर हमारा कोड देखोगे तुम लोग, well, here in this line, I still have the probability of getting 3 exceptions here. The above line has the probability of getting 3 exceptions. What are they? 2 exceptions. My mistake. Sorry, 2 exceptions. What are they? One is IO exception. Another is yes or no. But why the hell compiler is not warning me on this point? Why the hell it is forcing me to take this point only? This is like a no petrol exception, and this is like a no RC exception. You understand this point? So that number format exception is driven from one of the parent called runtime exception. Okay, so that's why you are not getting forced. Hope this is clear to all of you people.
Yes, sir.
अभी देखो.
Yes, sir.
दूसरा पॉइंट क्या है? दूसरा पॉइंट कंपाइलर ने मुझे क्या वार्निंग दिया? कंपाइलर ने बोला कि राम देखो, there is an unreported exception which you are not handling. So you either must catch it or you should declare yourself that you are also throwing it. It is something like that. So it is my responsibility to handle it, is what it says. कि चलो ठीक है, अगर मैंने बोल दिया कि try and then catch exception, which is a parent, and then I said system.out.println of E control S. I have handled it, but compiler will say nothing. So I should catch it. I repeat, either I should catch it. What did it say? Either you should catch it or declare it to be thrown. This is one way. Or I can also say I can propagate this exception to the caller head by saying throws IO exception, comma, member format exception, comma, arithmetic exception. I'm trying to declare that my method is capable of throwing 3 exceptions. Okay, and then who is calling it? This bloody main function is calling. Let's see what happens. Now, if I compile this, now the exception handling responsibilities got propagated from this line to this line. Okay, spelling mistake है शायद, ARITHMETIC, that's all. Control S. यहाँ पे मैं recompile करता हूँ. अब देखो, cannot TH मिस हो गया. Why the hell it is saying? This
Sir, exceptions.
one. Wait. देखा. Now, if you have seen this, the unreported exception वाला जो फंडा है यहाँ पे it was saying कि it BR read line now is being propagated to call of calc.divide. It says कि देखो भाई, this is your responsibility. It's something like if the giver is not handling, the taker should handle it. Something like if we know he is not handling the bike related issues, then whoever takes the bike, who is Pavan, has to handle it. This is what we call as exception propagation. Now, in this exception propagation also, if you have to identify, the compiler forces you to touch only the checked exception, but not the random exceptions. Am I clear on this point? It is not forcing you for these two, but it is forcing you to this. Point समझ में आ गया ना सब कुछ? Okay. Yes, sir. Well, this is about exceptions. One more point I want you people to observe and understand about exceptions is anything which is written after try catch block is expected to be executed. For example, if I am not saying this throws an exception and I'm trying to handle it properly, here I'm trying to handle these things properly. Whatever exception comes, I will print the message and then see what happens. So here, before that, what do you call this? This handling was not there. We were getting a number format exception and arithmetic exception related error messages, right? So here, what I can do is I actually can handle it in a proper way. So here, I am also expecting this to be done. So here I'll give a generic message saying that, oops, something went wrong. Please supply proper input and try again. I said so. All right, and then I'll try to recompile this program and then say we'll try to run the program. Now see 10 and 2 is okay for me. But the moment when I say hash, it will give me oops, and as well as the end of the division method, and thank you for calling my calc. And similarly, if I try to give the another wrong input also, it will still give me that one. So that means my program is not abruptly ending, whereas I am showing a possible way of handling the situation, and I'm also continuing the remaining lines of code in my method, and I'm going or sending back the controller to the caller, and the caller probably closes himself in a proper way. This is the main use of exceptions. It will not end your program abruptly. On the other hand, if you do not have this try and catch, what happens is well, it says this IO exception. Okay. So that's how it comes. Okay. So what is the difference between the above output and below output is it has got handle. That's the only difference. So here it has got handle. Here it does not have got handle, and you cannot see these two lines of code also. That is a major thing. So you have to understand compulsory writing a try and catch, which helps you to end your program properly. That is the main use of exceptions. Clear on this point?
Yes.
Okay. तो एक finally बोल के भी रहता है. You know that what is the purpose of finally, by the way?
So to execute the codes after catch block, sir.
हाँ. If at all any mandatory code is there which you feel compulsory should be executed, then you should try that. Try finally block. For example, मैं बताता हूँ आपको. हम लोग JDBC का कोड लिखते कुछ दिन के बाद, like 2-3 दिन के बाद we will write JDBC code in which we will open connection. Connection con is equals to driver manager dot get connection, and we will supply whatever the input. Basically, this returns us an open connection between our app and MySQL. Like, then I have a statement object. Statement is equals to connection dot create statement, and this even links this statement object with the connection, enabling this statement to execute our SQL commands at DB level. So using this statement, we will say statement dot execute update of. We'll try to give some insert into TBL, let's say users, blah, 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 blah. So here, what is that we are trying? We are giving an insert command. Now, irrespective whether this insert command is successful or not, one or other way, the connection which is open is still open, and the statement object which is linked to the connection is still live in our application environment. So please note that all DB servers are licensed with limited connections. For instance, MySQL free version, which you are using, comes with 1400 concurrent connections capacity. That means over to that 1400 concurrent connections, it will stop taking, and then you will get something called as connection timed out error. So nobody will be able to connect to this database. The entire application will simply fail. Whoever, they'll try to log in and they fail, log in, fail, log in, fail. That's all. Nothing is going to happen after that one. So the situation comes if you do not close your connections properly. So what is that we were supposed to do here is, well, you declare them on the top as first of all happily null, and then come down here. You have your try, you have your catch, exception E, and have your handling code, and then here you simply have to say finally, you simply have to say if connection not is equals to null, just in case, connection dot close. Similarly, if statement not is equals to null, statement dot close. If you miss out this piece of code and then you are gone case, your connections are still open, irrespective whether you get an error or this statement is executed successfully or not. Nothing is going to happen. You are simply, you know what, wasting your connections as well as statements. Okay, so writing such a kind of code is mandatory. Finally block ensures you that any code that you write inside it is compulsory executed, ensures executability. That is the main usage of finally. Okay, so that's what we do. All the objects which we feel like has to be nullified, or any proper checks has to be done before exiting the method, or any validations have to be checked before we proceed further, all such kind of stuff which we feel as a mandatory code, we will try to write it in the finally block. Clear? Clear? This is a small example I have taken, a real time practice kind of thing. So whatever you write inside try catch, it ensures you that it may get executed, it may not get executed due to anything. If something goes wrong within this piece of code, the control comes to handling mechanism block, and then the error will be handled. If things goes fine also, or things don't go fine also, the controller will come out of that cache, will try to execute the remaining piece of code within the function or a method. So there it actually observes there is a finally block, and then Java ensures you that this is compulsory executed for you. So what kind of statements we write in finally? We write mandatory statements that are required for that method before it closes. or before a try exits. So finally is linked to one try catch. I repeat, one try. You can have finally without catch, but you can write one finally for every try. You cannot write more than one finally. There is only one finally. So there are rules something like this. A try can be followed by one or more catches and one finally. Am I clear? So try must be followed either by catch or by finally or by both. That is another rule. Something like that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
अगर ट्राई लिखो तो ये दोनों में कोई ना कोई रहना चाहिए उनको. Catch या catches, more than one catch and one finally. Chalo, this is all about exceptions. Hope you understand this. Any doubts in this?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, super. Now, the next point which you need to understand, which is the last point we are going to discuss as a part of LAN package. Okay, so far whatever you have learned, including exceptions, are taken from the core package called java.lang. So the last part what we were discussing about this java.lang is threads. Then from tomorrow we will be jumping into different packages. One day one package, another day another package. So we'll be learning Java core libraries or core API is what I call it as. Okay. So let's learn about threads for a while. Give me 2 minutes of break. I'll just go have my water and come back. Okay, I'm back. So what is a thread? Why do we go for it? Is what is very important question to ask. Do you remember that we have seen this thread with a small flavor when we were working with that mark you example? Remember? Remember that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what was the purpose at that point of time we have used threads for? To pass the current running process, correct? So here also, honestly speaking, the main usage of thread is to control a running current process. Okay. So what is basically a thread? Is it a process or a sub process or what? Any idea? What is a thread?
Sub-processor.
It's a sub process. Then it can be called as a sub process. Why you call it as a thread? देखो समझाता हूँ मैं छोटा सा एग्जांपल लेके समझाता हूँ. This is a game. This is my mobile phone and there is a game happening. So here there is a military tank residing on the bottom. Okay, and this military tank will be moving here and there, and from the top part there are flights which are coming, and then they're bombing on this one. Eventually, assuming there are helicopters also, different kind of objects which will try to do their bombing on this particular object. Okay, now this guy also has capacity to move this here and there and then fire back to these objects. Now he has the capacity to move to the right side as well as to the left side, and also can fire in multiple angles from this top, whatever you call it as, cannon. And then the bullets which are firing will be hitting these objects. Like if this is blasted, you will get points. And then because of this bomb, if your tank blots, you will lose your life. Let's say you have 10 lives. That is the game. Clear, right? Clear? So in order to develop this game, what are all the steps that you need to write as a part of your code? And how many tasks or actions has to be run in simultaneous in order to get this game run? Assuming objects are created, that's the first task. Assume create tank, start moving, or simply create the tank. Moving is the work of the person, okay, who is playing the game. And create plane, uh, chopper, move them, drop bombs. Well, that is the first action. And then what's the second action? In parallel to that, I repeat this word, in parallel, simultaneously is what I'm trying to mention. In parallel to the above task, okay, if the end user is playing the game, then move the tank. And then third, fire the bullet. And then fourth, calculate x comma y position of bullet. Eventually, as a fifth step, calculate x comma y positions of the plane and chopper. Okay. Uh, you have to keep mapping them. When they become equal, as the plane or chopper, and increase point. Seventh one. Similarly, calculate x comma y position of bombs by chopper and plane. In fact, these actions are supposed to be separate, like x and y position of the chopper and xy position of the plane both. And then you also have to calculate x comma y position of the tank. And the ninth step, keep mapping them. When they become equal, blast the tank and increase the life. Again, as a 10th, if life has become less than 1, that means in the game. Understand? This is what my game is. Let me know if either of this step is not running in parallel, then the game will not be run. Something like the bomb will be dropped and then the tank will move, and the tank moves and then chopper drops another bank, and then it fires a bullet. The bullet will be fired here somewhere and then the chopper moves. That's not called game, man. If all of these are running in parallel, then it is called as a game. Yes or no? Correct? Now,
Yes, sir.
in such situation, if you take the game as a task, the entire stuff as a task, and all of these subtasks are as a part of the game, if they are running in parallel, they are said to be threads of this particular task. Now, what exactly is this now? Basically, whenever a task is running, processor will actually is running on task 1, T1, and then task 2 starts this one. What happens? Processor will divide entire its slice time into two parts and then put a timer over here. Okay, let's say it will divide 1 second, assuming that it is taking 1 second as a limit, and then it will provide 500 milliseconds over here. Okay, and then it will start working on the task 2, and then the moment when 500 milliseconds are reached, this task 1 has an alarm which calls this, saying that hey, my I mean the timer has triggered. Then he will put another timer over here for 500 milliseconds and then jumps to this task and then will be running. And the moment 500 milliseconds comes, this guy again will call, hey processor, come here. So processor like this will be moving here and there to complete these tasks in parallel by dividing its time into multiple slices. So here, assuming you are playing a game and in the background you are playing music, you are listening to music and then you are playing the game. Okay, and in the background you are also copying some files, copying a movie. So that means you are already doing three tasks, and within one of the tasks, task 3, again you have to slice them into 10 elements. So it is something like 3 by 10. Hope you are understanding. So 3 by 10 is the time which is given to each of them. Let's say if 1 second is divided by all these three and it is given 300 milliseconds, and then this 300 milliseconds is further divided by 10 for each of this. Hope you are understanding. Getting this point?
Yes,
So
sir.
the way you slice the maximum slice time of the CPU, the one or the smallest subtask which uses the least slice time of the CPU is called as a thread. I repeat, the subprocess which takes the least slice time of the or maximum slice time of the CPU is called as a thread. मतलब जितना कम समय प्रोसेसर वो फिकल होने के लिए टाइम लेता है ना, that's called as the thread. Hope this is clear. It is again a sub process only, as you said, but the way the processor slices its time, and then the smallest part is given to a sub process which runs parallel to another one within a given process, then it is said to be a thread. Am I clear? So ultimately, our intention is to run parts of our programs in parallel. I repeat, in parallel, and which also gives us a provision of control. Please understand, every processor have this built-in capacity. Then what the hell Java is giving extra? Well, Java gives you an API to control them. That's the only thing extra. So please understand that the processors have the threading capacity. They come with threading capacity. Okay, but it's that, like, it is run the way it want. So processor marji ka raj hota hai yahan pe. Instead, if you wanted to control the behavior of this processor within your sub processes that are running in parallel, then it is said to be a thread programming API. So what Java provides you is the power to control the way processor runs these sub processes. That's all. Okay, na? So what is that we are going to do is we'll write some programs which will run two processes at a time, and we will make use of our thread API to control the behavior. Okay, am I clear on this?
Yes, sir.
Abhi idhar aa
Yes.
jao bhai.
Yes, sir.
So threads API has come from one of the root interface called runable. The one which has the ability to run individually is runnable. So this person have only one method, public void run. That's all. And then they said that anybody who implements this runnable interface is called as a thread. That means that guy can be run using one of the class provided by Java.lang called thread. Class threads implements runnable. So the rule of Java says ki when you wanted a class to be run individually, that guy must be initiated using a thread. That is what it says. So any class object which is given as a thread can run independently as a process. That is what Java says. तो उसका मतलब क्या हुआ आप देखो, make your object as runnable. I repeat, make your object as runnable. And then you can create a thread based on your object. That is what Java says. So these two are interlinked to each other. So your object must be runnable, and this runnable object must be created as a thread using the thread object. So let's see that one. Iska API kya hai? What are all the things what we will do? We'll see that. So before I explain the API to you, okay, now before I explain the API to you, I wanted you to see a small program and understand what is the behavior. Let's say I have a class called my thread implements runnable. That's what you said. You implement runnable, then you are a thread. So I'm trying to implement the runnable. Because I'm implementing an interface, I must override one of the method. Public override, override, public void run. So within this run method, I am trying to print certain numbers. For int I is equals to 1, I less than or is equals to some 200, I plus plus. What am I trying to do is I'm trying to print numbers. Okay. Well, here I would like to print system dot out dot print ln. Okay. System dot current thread dot get name. I'm using one of the API which we have not discussed. We'll be discussing in a while. Okay. And then this class I would like to call using another thread. Let's say class thread example. And within this thread example, I am trying to say public static void main string args. 2 points I told you. One is point number 1, implement a runnable using your class and override the run method. First step. Second step, pass your object to thread class of Java so that this can become a thread. So here I'll say um, my thread is equals to new my thread, and this object I will have to pass to thread. Let's say thread p1 is equals to new thread of this my thread. So here what is that I'm trying to do? I am creating a thread object based on my runnable object. Okay, that means which can run independently. Okay, so to run this process independently, I'm creating a thread. Again, I'll say thread t2 is equals to new thread of my thread. Well, here I'll say t1 dot start and t2 dot start, and here below I have one more for loop getting printed over here. So here I would like to say in thread prints, and here that's what I'm saying. Here it is main thread prints. Here whatever the name it says key, that name should be control S, and we'll take this fellow at example.java. Now I'll try to come down here. It's not system.current thread. This is basically thread.current thread. My mistake. I was using system.out, right? यहाँ पे भी system आ गया था. It was thread.current thread. देखो, so there are so many things which have got printed. Last में, सबसे last में thread 0 print हुआ. If you scroll it up slightly, and then you have main thread, and then you have thread 0, और थोड़ा करो ऊपर, you could see main thread, thread 0, and then you can see thread 1 also. But is it in my control? The way it has got printed, is it in my control? See, you could see these three threads are actually printing numbers in parallel. How main also can run in parallel, because main itself is a thread. I repeat, Java published or deployed main method itself is a thread one. Okay, any application that you are running has to run other libraries in parallel to it. So that's why that is also a thread for Java. Hope you clearly observed that thread 1, thread 0, main thread, everybody is running here. Great. That it is running, but they are not in my control. The way it is getting printed is under the control of the processor. Based on the speed of the processor, based on the speed of the RAM, the number of numbers have got printed. ठीक है ना? So that's how threads behaves. Great. But Ram, I don't want this in this way. I want this to run in a proper way. Well, in that case, you have to pass the process the way we were passing the marquee. Here, you are supposed to say try catch exception E. And you could actually say thread dot current thread dot sleep for a period of 200 milliseconds. And same line here, you could say E dot, you can say system dot out dot print ln of that E error value, and take out this piece of line of code, control C, and put it over here. That means in both of these, thread 1 and thread 2 are running this run method trying to print 1 to 200 numbers, and my thread is also running in parallel. Let's say I'll slightly change. I'll make this from 200 to 400. So threads are printing 1 to 200, T1 and T2, whereas I am trying to print 200 to 400. Control S. Well, let's see what happens here. CLS and Java C. For example, spelling mistake again. The way it prints is slightly different. Now it is going in order. There is one number which is getting printed by each of these threads. I'm controlling the behavior. Yes, it is. So basically, what is the purpose of thread API available in Java is to control when your threads are running at runtime. Not that you write a thread program and then run it usually. No, to control them at runtime. Now, what happens if we don't write the controlling logic? Nothing is going to happen. That will be taken care by the processor, and the processor will run the way it wants, based on the memory, based on the speed. Everything varies. But what is the specialty here is Java is giving us the provision of controlling it, so we can control it. That's the main point here. Hope it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll come back here to our this one, and we'll showcase you the different kind of API model, the API which is there for the class thread, which we will be using in order to control the threads at runtime. And then we will see a beautiful real-time example. Okay? Two real-time examples, in fact, in threads. Like, I love this thread concept. Basically, this is the most useful thing when it comes to real-time examples. We will see that one. So ये है class. It has got certain private variables and certain public variables also. पहले public variables discuss करते, public static final variable integer called min underscore priority, which is equals to 1. And we have public static final variable integer, which is called as normal underscore priority, which is equals to 5. And then I have my public static final integer max underscore priority, which is equals to 10. So these priorities will decide whether a thread has to be given more importance by the processor or not. You can set these priorities using a method of a setter and as well as a getter. We'll see them. And then you have certain private element. For private, a string called name, which defines the thread name. And private boolean is daemon. Look at this. Is daemon. It is a kind of a question mark. Is this thread a daemon thread? We'll see what is a daemon thread. And you have now you have setters and getters basically. Public void set priority, which will take int set clause dot priority. And similarly, you have integer get priority, and you have public void set daemon boolean is daemon, and then public boolean is daemon. Now there are three different kind of threads you will see as a part of your development life. One is called as native thread. A native thread is that which is a built-in part of the Java system. Well, all of that processes that runs behind the scenes to compile things and then run the things in parallel for you is a set of native threads. Okay, native threads are those who runs in the Java runtime environment in the behind scenes. Then there are certain things called as green threads or application threads. This is an application thread which we have created, which we have called. This is also called as green thread. Apart from these two models, there is something called as daemon thread, which runs in the background. For example, have you observed if you try to download Windows updates that runs in the background without disturbing your foreground work, that's called as a daemon thread, a thread that runs in the background. Okay, so you can set a thread as a daemon thread or not by using this set daemon, or you can also check whether the current running thread is a daemon thread or not by calling is daemon. And then you have got your public void set name, which will take string name of the thread and then public string get name, which returns you the name of the thread. And then you have a method public static thread, the current thread object. Current thread, actually it returns the current runnable object. Basically it returns this kind of thing. Okay, am I clear? Now these are all the kind of setters and getters is what we have for a thread class. Apart from that, it has a life cycle set of methods which are like this: public void start. Please understand, we can call only the start method. This internally calls run method. Note, we cannot call run. Even if you call manually, that will be a normal method call, but it will not run as a thread. So if you wanted this to be run as a thread, you will simply call start and then that's all. And then after a thread has start, okay, you can say public void sleep. Oh, sorry, public void run, which is being called internally to run the thread. And then after a thread is run, basically it can be controlled using the below functions. Public void, this is a method, public static void sleep, which will take long millisecond. So you have to say up to these milliseconds, make this thread into sleep mode. So after this given milliseconds time, the thread will wait and run again. Okay, that's the main funda. Now, this sleep method, while the time of waking it up, throws interrupted execution because that fellow is basically poor fellow sleeping. So the processor comes and wakes him up. Hey, thread, wake up! I wanted to run you. So this sleep method throws interrupted exception. Similarly, you can say public void wait, and you can also say um, public void wait long millisecond. So you can say a thread, please wait. What do you mean by wait? For example, you went to a bank and then he is doing some other work. Then he'll say, hey, can you please wait? So you will have to wait, allowing the process to do or work on some other thread. Am I clear? Am I clear? Something like this. Let's say you went into the cashier, okay, and then he said, "Ki check पे आपका signature नहीं, अब signature ले लो." And then you are writing your signature. Meanwhile, instead of sitting idle, he may take the check of others and then can process it, right? So that is the process is what we call as wait. And then a thread which is in wait, you can say public void join. It's something like uh, these two are very important, public void notify. So notify is something like informing a thread which is waiting to say कि देखो भैया आप जा सकते हो, please wait, I said, and then I'll say कि please go ahead. And then when I'm going, I can call other threads to join me. So along with me into the same process, other threads can join me when I call that T2.join, T3.join. So with my process, T1 and T2 also will join. Well, if you wanted all of them to be notified at a time, you can say notify all, which will be notifying to all the waiting threads, and they all will go at a time. Okay. And apart from that, we have public void suspend, which is basically deprecated, and you have public void assume, this is also deprecated. Okay, and then you have public void yield is also deprecated, and then you have last but not least public void stop, basically to stop the threads from the running process. So from the start till the stop, these are all the things which will be called after a thread is in run mode. Please note down. By the way, one more point. This thread has constructors. Public thread default constructor, public thread which will take runnable, and he will say the current object is assigned to this runnable, and similarly public thread string thread name. Okay, so these are the kind of constructors we have for threads, which basically creates a thread and then we run them afterwards. You can take a screenshot if you want, but this I anyway will share it with you people. Okay, na? This API I am going to share it with you people anyway. That is a different thing. But if you wanted to note down few important things which you may feel, you may note down. Got it right?
Control S. It's API. We'll try to share it with you. Okay. I cannot share files over here, right? अच्छा ठीक है, कोई नहीं. Okay, so let's see an example. By the way, how many of you booked your tickets using Book My Show? You know Book My Show, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have you ever tried creating an application called Book My Show or like Book My Show?
Not yet, sir.
Hmm?
Not yet.
करेंगे क्या?
हाँ सर करेंगे ना.
हाँ, आधा घंटे में हो जाएगा. Before 30 तक Book My Show डेवलप करेंगे. Shall we?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
देखो, you know the fund of Book My Show, right? Book My Show में क्या होता है? When you click on Book My Show, basically it actually opens a theater. I don't know whether I can open Book My Show here or not. See, I am loading this application. Jokata has blocked it. No, it hasn't blocked it. Very pretty fine. So here, let's say I am trying to book a ticket for this Uncharted movie. This is the movie. When I wanted to book the tickets, I am trying to call one of the API, which internally loads a theater list. मैंने ले लिया कि English 2D. Now I will be getting theaters list. Okay. Now look at this. These theaters have their fixed set of seats or not? Right or not? Matlab every theater has a fixed set of seats. You agree with that, or they will change dynamically on a daily basis? Even though they are
That is
changing,
fixed.
that is fixed. Even though they are changing, assume they have added few more rows that will be getting added before loading the application. So when my booking library loads, when I click one of these icons, either 445 show, 755 show, or 1020 show, when I click this one, it is actually loading with all the available seats in the CinePlanet Kompally. Let us say I'll click on this one. Then it will show me, it is asking me how many number of seats. Let's say 4. I will say here are the available seats, and here grade are the completed seats. Now tell me, within the period, the when I'm looking at this, is there any guarantee that the seat is compulsory available to me, or somebody else is also could be trying for the same?
Also trying someone.
Right. So possibility is 50-50. I may get, I may not get. Why? Because on this particular resource, multiple threads are running to book the ticket. We will implement the same thing now in 15-20 minutes. Shall we?
Yes, sir.
चलो देखो, मैं इधर आ गया मेरा एग्जाम्पल पे. So I am trying to develop Book My Show software. I have a class called Book My Show software implements runnable. Okay. Now this class Book My Show software is called by Book My Show app, which will contain public static void main string args. Okay, na? So here, assume I am having theaters. Okay, so I have an array, a public or private array, string array, theaters is equals to. Assume I am having only 5-6 theaters with me, 1, 2, 3. So मैंने बोला CinePlanet, फिर Tivoli Cinema, here you have, यार कुछ तो बताओ,
AMD sir.
IMAX, IMAX, Prasad IMAX, जो भी है. Then I have private integer array seats equals to Cineplanet में 10 सीट्स है, इसके बाद 15 सीट्स है, फिर IMAX में कुछ 20 सीट्स है, assume. Okay, simple, right? Like while the time of loading itself, it has to load. Now you actually control X, you can have it with your BookMy software, and here it is. देखो आराम से, the way I develop it. Now here within this program, when the end user comes, I'm asking him to choose theater first, correct? And then I am asking system.out.print. Enter the theater name. पुराने जमाने में जब बुक माई शो स्टार्ट हुआ था इनिशियली, बुक माई शो का देयर इज अ कॉम्पिटिटर. Okay, so where we need to call that fellow and then say ki we wanted to book tickets, and they will there is an IVRS running for Tivoli, press 1, for Cineplanet press 2, kind of thing. Then you press something, and then based on that it will say ki for 11 a.m. show press 1, press 2, and all. You press the thing, and then automatically number of tickets it will book, and it will say ki now press the number for which you wanted to book number of tickets. I'll say 5, and then it will book 5 tickets for me. So I'll go there, show my reference number, and they will issue the 5 tickets. I get into the show. That's how it was running. I forgot its name basically. Vaisa tha. So I'm trying to develop the same kind of funda. Okay. So enter the theater name. So theater name that I have entered, I am taking string theater is equals to system.console.readline. जो हाइफे में आप लोगों ने अभी देखा था, which is a powerful web app, I am trying to make it as a pretty simple console app. Now, what is that you need to do is you are supposed to call this software and then pass on this theater. So here I'll say book my show software is equals to new book my show software. How many runtime may how many customers may be booking this ticket? We never know, right? Yes or no? So I am saying for int t is equals to 1, t less than or is equals to 20, t plus plus. Thinking that 20 customers are trying to book their ticket at a time for Cineplanet, which is having 10 tickets. Okay. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Yes sir.
Okay.
Yes,
अब
sir.
देखो क्या होता है, देखो अभी क्या होता है. Now all of these people are trying to book their tickets. Excellent. So I will say thread customer is equals to new thread of book my show software, and then we'll say customer dot set the name as customer plus t. What is t here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20, something like that. So it will be customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, and so on, customer 20. And then we'll say customer dot start. When I say start, basically a thread will be run internally, and then he will try to call the public void run method. Where is public void run? Do we have it so far? No, we haven't implemented the software yet. We have just making the outline ready. So till that, what you have seen when you clicked on that 430, when you have seen displayed number of seats and asking you to block a 4 seats or 3 seats or 2 seats, right? Right. So that's what it is all about. Am I clear? That is what it is all about. Now when I say this, this is getting started. This book my show is basically have to be called based on a theater name. So here I have a constructor public book my show software, which will take string theater name. Okay, now here I will say theater name. Here also I will mention the same variable name, theater name. So the theater name that I am asking from the end user, I supply to the software. Then only the software can get number of tickets in it. Well, what it will do is here it will have int available is equals to 0. By default, available is 0. What it will do, because you have chosen so and so theater, it will try to get it. So here it will say for each string str available in theaters, I'm doing some search. So here I'll say if str dot equals ignore case of theater name, the name that you have given. If this is the case, then it will say available is equals to, you need to get that particular index from the seats. So what is the index of the name that you have given? You need to get it. So instead of for each string str theaters, you can say for int I is equals to 0, I less than theaters dot length I plus plus. Now, where is my str now? Here is where it is. If this theaters at the position of I, which is basically Cineplanet or Tivoli or IMAX, okay, is equals to ignore case of the theater name. What exactly this is? A string, right? So if this string is equals to this other string, I am supposed to get seats at the position of I value. So if theater set I is equals to the theater name, and then I'll try to get the I value. Let's say if you have given Tivoli, you will get 15. If you have given IMAX, you will get 20. Understood? So this is basically to display me the seats available. Now the seats available is updated. Seats available are updated. I'm supposed to write my piece of code to book the ticket. So because multiple threads have to attempt booking this ticket, I will say @override public void run. This is the method which actually helps me to book the tickets. This is where I am. Okay, right? Up to till this, any doubts?
No, sir.
No, sir.
एक बार फिर से देखो कोड पूरा एक ही स्क्रीन में पड़ा है. The entire code is in a single screen. देख लो. If you have any doubts, please ask me. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to take the number of seats by the theater name, and then I have a fixed number of theaters with me registered, and I also have their seat count. Now, if somebody is coming to me asking if I wanted to book ticket in this so and so theater, I'll try to get the number of seats from it. So far clear?
Yes, sir.
So far बराबर है. आगे बढ़े.
Yes, sir.
अब देखो. So whenever I come here to the book my show, if you have observed, I was shown with the number of seats available, and then I was asked to choose the number of seats. When I took it, what will be the next process? I will be taken to the payment gateway, and the current process will go into sleep mode for some time. Wait for it, and once you come back, it will book your ticket and confirm you your ticket is booked. Correct or not?
Yes, sir.
ये पूरा इसमें आ जाएगा. राइट. देखो आराम से देखो. So it will first print system.out.println available tickets is available, and then so and so customer is booking the ticket for us. This is the console application, and we are not the only one who is booking ticket. So many people are. So we should understand who is booking the ticket. जैसे कि group chat में रहता वैसा. So here I'm trying to say system.out.println thread dot parent thread dot get the name is attempting to book one ticket, assuming that this fellow will give only one ticket at a time. Am I clear? Okay. So I'm making this one ticket model because you should observe how this thread is behaving. That's why I'm trying to book only one ticket at a time. Fair. क्या होता? You are supposed to go and then do the payment processing. So here I'll say system.out.println. Now, first of all of this I will be doing only on a condition basis. If this available tickets are greater than 0, matlab at least one ticket is there, then I'll do it. Or else फायदा क्या है बताओ? Correct or not? Else what you can do, Ram? देखो, I can say system.out.println show is full. Please try for some other show on some other day. That's what I could say. Control S. नाम क्या था भाई इसका? Book my show app. Okay. Well, I'll continue this. I just saved it for a safe side. That's all. तो इसमें क्या करना है मुझे? I have shown him number of available tickets. If they are 0, then I'll say कि show is full. Please try for some other. Okay. And then let's say even printing the tickets also, I can put it in here. Else maybe वहाँ पे भी. Okay. But showing the number of tickets is possible only when at least one ticket is there. Or else I can straight away say when it comes to the run method, भाई खत्म tickets, I'm sorry, ऐसा कुछ बोल सकते. So available tickets are 0 and then show is full, I can say. Now what am I supposed to do here? I'm supposed to say processing the payment. Okay, and then the current thread will go for a sleep. Try catch exception E will say system.out.println of this fellow E, and here I will say क्या करना है मुझे? Thread dot current thread dot sleep. Let's say I'll give a big pass. For example, 3000 milliseconds there. मतलब every thread will wait for somewhere around 3 seconds. Say 5 seconds. I'll keep it as 5 seconds. मतलब for this thread will wait for 5 seconds and then book the ticket. 5 तो ज़्यादा हो जाएगा. I'll give 3, and then it will go ahead with the next proceedings. What is the next proceeding? So wait time is over. Let's say I'm thinking that payment is completed. Okay, system.out.println payment successful, booking the ticket, and then I will say available minus. Matlab available has to be reduced, right or wrong, if you have to book the ticket. Now I have reduced it to 1, and then finally I will say system.out.println one ticket booked by thread dot current thread dot get name. Control S. That's all. That's my book my show exam. Shall we run this and see?
Yes, sir.
Only thing is I'm not processing the payment gateway kind of stuff here. And I'm also making this as a simple console application rather than developing it as a web app.
But funda to yahi hai. This is what happens behind the scenes. Now I come here, Java C, book my show app dot Java. Now, if theater name, it is supposed to have one more bracket. This is one bracket close. How about this if condition? It is supposed to close, right? One more bracket. Control S. Okay. Well, let's say Java C. And now t is equals to 1, and here it's not I, t less than 20, and then t plus plus. Typo. Okay, no typos. Clear. Okay, so all we need is to run this app and then see how it behaves. So I'll say Java book my show app. Enter the theater name. Let's say, what are the theaters we have? So we have Cine Planet. I'll say have. It is trying to book ticket for everyone, and one ticket successfully booked by everyone. You can see all the 20 customers have booked their ticket, which is very wrong. Why all this is been happening? Everybody is trying to book, everybody's payment is successful. This is because the element which is taken or shared by among threads is not being controlled by our application. So our application has to control it. How do we control Ram? Is it using an API? API is there anyway. We are controlling through by sleeping one thread at a time. But when one thread is sleeping, other thread is also trying to update the same thing. So if you know book my show, for example, I'm trying to show you one more important point here. Let's say book my show Hyderabad. This point I want you to observe. Uncharted, book tickets, 2D, and let's say Asia Shiny Planet, 7:30 p.m. show, and then say accept it, 4 tickets, select the seats. Observe this. There are seats available. Am I clear? In the O 1, 2, 3, 4, and I am in the process of payment gateway. Okay, now here I'll say book my show Hyderabad. One thread is in the process of booking the tickets, and I'll come to Uncharted, book tickets, 2D, Asian Cine Planet 7:30. I say accept, 4 tickets, select the seats. You can see these people are blocked over here. These 4 seats are blocked. Were they booked by me or were they blocked by me? I didn't complete my payment process. So the booking is not completed. O 1, 2, 3, 4. They are showing are not available. Why?
The process, that's right.
Because it is blocked by me, correct? So remember this point. When one thread has blocked a resource, that resource should not be available for other threads to block. That is the thing. If you are showing these seats again, this is how your output will be. All of these will be allowed to book 20 tickets, whereas Cine Planet has only 10 seats and then 20 customers are booking all the seats. When they come and collide, Bahubali 3 will start in the theater, right? So if you don't want that to happen, then what am I supposed to do is I am supposed to block these resources like this. And then nothing is going to happen. So how do I block that resources, Ram? What is the possible way? The possible way to block a thread for not utilizing the resource which is being used by other threads is by making it synchronize. What is it? Synchronize. So we will have to simply say synchronize this. This stands for the current thread object which is running. So the entire flow here is synchronized.
That means it is allowing only one thread at a time, blocking other threads not to use the resource until and unless I have completed my work. Now that's what we do by making synchronize. This behavior of thread can be controlled to be used only one resource at a time. Now because of this, what happens here? If I try to recompile my program and try to run my program, enter the theater name, Cineplanet. Look at this. Now here it is attempting to process one ticket at a time. And you can see 5 seconds gap for each ticket, which is processing for that. Now, even though 20 threads are there, I am processing only one ticket at a time. Available tickets 3, available tickets 2. That means 10 members have completed it. Now for all the remaining, I'll get show is full, please try again. Is it in proper way now? But which customer is booking the ticket? It is not in my hand. Internet में randomly कोई भी आ सकता है. First come first serve. So when the processor turns his back from other processors to this side, he has seen 20 threads waiting for him. He may choose randomly any thread. Customer 1 से लेके 20 तक किस All right, sorry guys, there is a power fluctuation happened at my home. So suddenly there was a disconnection. You are able to listen to me, right? Am I back to the class? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. ये देखो. So how many are there? 10 tickets were there initially. Then 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Only 10 tickets were booked. Remaining 10 members were shown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. बराबर है ना? So that is how exactly we can develop a book my show kind of example. Not exactly or the exact professional way of book my show, but थोड़ा उसी तरह दिखने वाला, almost like that. We can develop it in this way. So thread API is useful in such kind of applications. In such kind of scenarios, we will use threads more. Hope you are understanding. Now without thread, we will not achieve this. Can we allow multiple people or multiple processes to run on the same resource at a time? If threads were not there, it is not possible. Because threads were there, it is possible. And within that also, I am able to control the way I want. Hope this is clear.
Yes, sir.
कुछ डाउट है क्या इसमें रन में?
No, sir.
बराबर है ना? एग्जाम्पल क्लियर?
Yes, sir.
फिर से देखते रहो, मैं थोड़ा पानी पी के आता हूँ. This is the entire Book My Show app, the main software part. एक बार देखो मैंने क्या क्या किया है, how it is working. Note down points. All right, guys, I'm back. Shall we move on to the next point? Shall I move on to the next point?
Yes, sir.
अभी देखो. How many of you have known to the process of loans and then paying EMIs and check bounces? किसी को पता है उसके बारे में?
Yes,
See,
sir.
I'm thinking about entire different scenario. One scenario, I have taken Book My Show for explaining the synchronization part. This synchronization again, I will take and then see how when multiple threads are running on a resource, how this can be used for wait notify policy using a real-time example. Again, one more real-time example. Okay. देखो मैं एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ व्हाट इज द लोन एंड EMI पॉलिसी. सो इफ आई टेक अ लोन, ओके, कभी भी कुछ भी लोन लेते हो उसका इंटरेस्ट के ऊपर यू वुड बी गेटिंग EMIs डिडक्टेड ऑन ए मंथली बेसिस. फॉर इंस्टेंस ये पे मैं मैसेज को नहीं दिखा सकता मैं आपको. फॉर इंस्टेंस मैं बताता हूँ. मेरा एक EMI है, ओके ना. आई हैव ए पर्सनल लोन. अज्यूम आई हैव टेकन ए पर्सनल लोन for every month 5th I get my EMI, okay, in this bank, presented in this bank for clearance. Unfortunately, I don't get my salary till evening of the 5th. So what I have requested the bank manager, my salary bank manager, to hold the check till 5th closure. This is what I have requested. I told him that this is my salary day and every month 5th I will be getting my salary from Jupata. So you have to hold this EMI till the transaction closure time of that particular day. So what happens, the moment when I get my salary credited, automatically this EMI will be deducted. So how this process is possible? If I haven't requested this one, let's say the EMI comes to the bank at somewhere at 11 a.m. whereas my salary gets credited somewhere at 5 p.m. or sometimes 7 p.m. Then what happens when this basically EMI comes to the bank? I would be having insufficient funds where my sal hasn't got credited, and this will get bounced. And then I will be penalized with 500 rupees of check bounce charges and 500 rupees of late payment charges, and then my CIBIL will be reflected with one check bounce. So, and then it will drop 2 points. The moment one check bounce is there, your CIBIL will be dropped with 2 points, 2 or some 10 points. I'm not sure about it. So this is very critical. I don't want this to happen. Whereas I wanted this to be blocked or holded till the EMI comes. Now this is what exactly the process we are about to implement. Now they will hold the check till the transaction closure time and or when the deposit is done. Okay. And they will also put key clear this when the deposit is done, and then automatically they will release the check based on the deposit. So this is what exactly we are going to implement. Okay, na? Understood?
I'll come down to my coding part. I have a class called bank.
Sir,
Ah,
please share your screen.
अरे यार, seriously, शेयर किया मैंने. ये देखो,
Screen.
it says कि stop sharing. Okay, फिर से शेयर करता हूँ. देखो, I've shared it basically. You are able to see?
No, sir.
No, but I have shared it, ma.
Sir, we can able to
How,
see.
We can able to
Sir,
see.
we can share.
how many of you are unable to see my screen? Only this girl or any other? Okay. I think you have to log out and log in, ma, ek bar, because I shared it actually. The moment
Okay.
when I connected back, I have shared it. एक बार log out करके log in हो जाओ. Meanwhile, I will be writing this class.
Okay. Sir.
Rest of all are able to see the screen, right, beta?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
बढ़िया, बढ़िया, बढ़िया. देखो, बैंक में there are two things which have to run multiple things will be running simultaneously. What do you mean by this, Ram? देखो, I am depositing some money into the bank. At the same time, if my wife is having my debit card with her, she may do shopping. Can anybody stop it? No, right? So these two things can run simultaneously, correct or not? But the balance amount what I have should be holded by only one thread at a time. Should be holded by one thread at a time. So to do that, I am having, let's say for example, I'm having a public to private, okay, int balance amount is equals to, let's say 10,000 is there mere paas. Okay. Now I have a public synchronized wide deposit. It will take int amount to be deposited. This is one method, and have public synchronized wide withdraw, which will take int amount, which is another. Withdraw या नहीं तो clear check, assuming clear check. And similarly, I have public synchronized wide withdraw, which will take int amount. These are the kind of transactions I can do simultaneously, correct or not? Well, to run the show, I have a class called Axis Bank, and here I am having my public static void main string args. So either along with this fellow, assuming this bank will be having so many what do you call this accounts, okay na? Assuming that I'm basically you will have an array of accounts, and then along with that, just like here you have array of theaters and their respective seats, here I have array of account numbers and their respective balances. Actually I'm supposed to have, for time being I'm thinking that I am the only customer in this bank, okay na? For you people to let understand the process only, it's not that I'm trying to give you a actual real time example, ठीक है ना? समझा करो ऐसा कुछ, ठीक है? Now, the main purpose of this is to let you people understand how these things will work out. So when you wanted to withdraw the money, you will have to simply withdraw. We'll say this dot. First of all, you need to check if this amount that you are trying is greater than the balance amount, you will simply have to say system.out.println insufficient balance. Try to withdraw less amount than बैलेंस अमाउंट. तो आई सेड कि देखो भैया आपके पास इतना सफिशिएंट बैलेंस नहीं है, यू ट्राई टू विद लेस अमाउंट, less amount, try an amount less than this. Okay, I said so. Well, if this is not the case, else in that case what am I supposed to do? Well, I am supposed to withdraw that amount, yani ki balance amount minus is equals to amount, and then I'll say system dot out dot println amount. Withdrawn successfully or debited successfully. सॉरी यार, फिर से पावर जाके आ रहा है कुछ तो. Actually, some construction work is going on the top floor, so they are using all those missions. So we are getting these issues today. Really sorry. ये अगर एक एग्जांपल बता दिया तो मस्त है मेरे लिए, थ्रेड्स कंप्लीट हो जाता है, इसलिए आई एम टेकिंग एक्स्ट्रा टाइम फॉर यू पीपल. You are able to see my screen, by the way, and my voice is also
No,
there.
sir.
No, sir. Screen is
No,
not
sir.
shared.
Screen is not there. फिर से शेयर करता हूँ. Let me know once you see my screen. You are able to?
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
Okay, फिर भी let me reconnect again, disconnect, okay, from my end. Stop sharing. Okay, अभी शेयर करो मैं स्क्रीन, फिर से कनेक्ट हुआ मैं. Let me see if you are able to see this. Are you able to see the screen?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No.
अरे यार क्या करूं मैं
No,
ये
sir.
इंटरनेट का। भगवान। You are able to see now at least?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
ओके चलो बच गया मैं। अरे यार अच्छा ठीक है अब देखो। So you know that's what the withdraw method will do, and then the check clearance also more or less it is one and same thing. So the amount what we have, and it will have to check this Control C, Control V. But here if the amount is not there, it just not have to say कि देखो भैया insufficient balance, try with lesser amount. नहीं, this is an ECS. This is an ECS, electronic check clearance. For fixed amount. So what am I supposed to do in such a kind of case? I have to put this current thread in wait mode. Okay, basically, and here I actually can do what I will do. Instead of saying insufficient, I'll say the insufficient balance, and instead of saying key, I'll say insufficient balance waiting for deposit, said so, and then I will say try catch exception E. Dot out dot int ln E. Okay, then what is that I will do? I'll say wait. So what exactly I'm trying to do is I will wait for certain thing, and if somebody notifies me that deposit is done, and then I'll come down here and I'll complete my transaction. Am I clear? That's what I will do. So if nobody notifies me, I'll wait for some time, and then I actually will withdraw this amount some milliseconds of time, and then I will say. So what exactly I am supposed to do is in the deposit, whenever there is an amount is being deposited, I will notify all the waiting threads. That's what I will do. So here I will say balance amount plus is equals to the supplied value amount, and we'll say here system dot out dot println amount deposited, notifying all waiting transactions to be cleared. I said so, and I will say try catch exception E. Well, it's a system.out.println of this particular E, and then we'll come down here and I'll say notify. So I said I have notified people. Now the point over here, after even the deposit, sometimes there is a big chance that the amount will still be less amount. So in that case, again, I will try to do one more if condition. If this amount is still greater than the balance amount, even after the deposit, okay, I will simply say system.out.println still insufficient balance. Check bounced. Else, if this is not the case, then I will withdraw the money or I will clear the ECS and will say, Dekho bhaiya, your ECS is cleared and debited successfully. Okay. For ECS, and that's your balance amount. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So amount debited from your account successfully for ECS or Control S. So what is the name I should give? Axis Bank Java. Now, how do I call this? This is a very important point. How do I call it? To have this software working in proper way. Okay, what am I supposed to do? I have a withdraw amount, I have check, and I have a deposit amount, simply speaking, which will do the deposit part. And now, withdraw का कोई value नहीं है, honestly speaking. In this example, I wanted to show you the wait notify policy. So I'll remove the withdraw part for some time. So I have clear check as well as deposit parts in this bank software. To make effective use of this bank software, I'll call the clear check first with the amount more than the 10,000, and then I will go into wait mode for the deposit, and then after some time I'll call deposit and it will be deposited. Then I will notify the thread and then thread will be called and then amount will be debited from that. Okay, am I clear? That's what we will do. So I'll come down here. By the way, this bank software is what the class on which I have to run these two threads. So here, I'll have to say new thread of public void run. This is called as anonymous inner class. I am creating a thread. Internally, I am overriding a run method, and the overridden run method will try to call one of the method. What is the method here? I have bank software. Bank is equals to new bank software. I'm trying to call this bank method, one of the method, bank dot clear check of 20,000, whereas the current balance is 10,000. Okay, and then after I have started this, so basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a new class. See, there are two ways. One, you can write a new class here, one thread class for running the clear check, another thread class for running the deposit, and then you have to start both of them. That is one way. That means I can say a class called clear check thread implements runnable, and here I will say public void run, within which I'll have to call this bank.clearcheck. Okay, so all that stuff I am trying to do with this anonymous inner class instead of wasting two more classes. And then what I will do, I will take up this same thing and put it over here. This is another thread which is basically for deposit. And here I am trying to add on some 15,000 rupees. So here this will add up the current balance to 25,000 to clear 20,000 ECS check. Okay. Now, before these two, I would make my current thread into sleep mode. So it's a wait, like for you people to know the effect, nothing more than that. Try catch exception E. System.out.println see. Well, I'll just come down here and I will say thread dot current thread dot sleep for, let's say, 10 seconds. So I'm making my current thread to wait for 10,000 for the deposit. So after 10,000 milliseconds, can I get 10 seconds? The deposit will happen, and then you can see this. Now we will compile this program and run CLS Java C access bank.java. Oops, unclosed string literal. क्या कर दिया मैंने? This one. Okay. Here, anything else? This is the one. Okay, catch without a try. Hey. Okay, that is all because of this deposit only. It is not properly closed. So all these 3 errors have come one after another. Right. CLS Java Access Bank. So when I run this Access Bank, so what is the expectation? This guy is calling the clearance part first, asking 20,000, whereas the current balance amount is 10,000. So it will come down here. Amount 20,000 is greater than bank balance. So it will say insufficient balance, waiting for the deposit, and it will go to wait mode. And after 10 seconds have lapsed, it is still in wait mode. Axis Bank will parallelly start the new thread after 10 seconds. It is still in wait mode. The first thread is still in wait mode, and then it will deposit and then notifies the current thread which is waiting, so that it will wake up and then go ahead and then try to clear the balance. So let's see this. So it says key insufficient balance waiting for deposit. It will wait for 10 seconds of time. Account is deposited, notifying all the waiting transactions. Now 20,000 debited from your account and the balance is 5,000. Fair enough. Now what if instead of this 15,000 you have deposited 5,000 only? Let's say you haven't got your salary on that day. Let's say something have happened, delayed, and then you have asked one of your friend, "Arey yaar, mera ECS se thoda paise chahiye." He said, "Ki I'll try to give you 5K now, and then we'll try to give you 5K by late evening." He hasn't given it in time. Meanwhile, the check will get bounced. Let's say this time I'm trying to give only 5,000. So pehla 10 tha, right? And then next 5,000, 15, which is still less than 20,000. So this time check will be bounced. See, check bounced. This is exactly happens on real-time ECS clearance system. ENASH is what we call it as ENASH. Like this example, apart
Yes,
from
sir.
the intermittent internet disconnections and irritations happen from my end, how about that example? Is it fine for you people? Learn something?
Yes,
No.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Please
Yes, sir.
understand a situation where you can effectively utilize Java API. I'm trying to give you some scenarios where you can apply threads. Am I clear? So you need to understand it's not just API is there, yes, and the way you have to use, you can use it. But when exactly you will apply, what kind of situations this is very effective? Well, I'm trying to give you those scenarios. Okay, na? So guys, this is all about threads. Nothing more than this. Sometimes you will give priorities to your threads if you are interested. And well, networking is java.net package. Java.net is not in our portion. Okay, beyond the portion that we have. If that is also there now, I should have shown you threads in more effective way by showing you a group chat. You know group chat, right? You people maintain groups, right? And then
Yes.
whoever types in that will be visible to everyone, and the whatever others types that will be visible to everyone, right? That kind of group chat application can be downloaded very effectively using java.network with the help of these thread classes. Well, that's not there as a part of our portion, so we don't discuss that. Okay, so this concludes threads and today's session both. We'll stop here. Tomorrow we will connect. We'll try to discuss IO streams. We'll discuss IO streams. Not try to discuss. We'll discuss IO streams. Okay.
Yes, queries regarding sir onboarding sir.
Queries.
So means work from office sir.
Hmm.
So
किसने
ma'am
बोला?
was saying that we have to means you are planning sir. We have to come on Monday sir office sir.
किसने बोला? एक मिनट रुको, पहले स्टॉप करता हूँ रिकॉर्डिंग. These discussions should not be there in our recording.